Girls Can Read. Hey guys, it's Katie. Welcome to another video, and in today's video I'm going to be bringing you part number 2 of the series, trilogies, duologies, whatever you want to call them, whatever they are, part number 2. And yeah, so you guys would have seen part number 1. Those were like my rereads. So in this video, this one is going to contain books that I'm continuing on with the series of books that are like from this bookshelf or from a box that's like next to me. They're of like main priority. So without further ado, let's get started. First of which is the Hotel Royale series. This is the sequel, Dramas of a Teenage Heiress by Katie Burchill. So I've read the first book, loved it. This is the latest release. So once I read this, I'll be completely up to date. So I can't wait to read this actually, because I absolutely freaking loved the first book so much. It was so hilarious, it was funny. I'm excited. Next of all, I have the Animal Arc series by Lucy Daniels. Next in the series for me to read will be number 7, which is Cub in the Cupboard. So this is pretty much a reread for me. I can't remember the number they got up to, which is why I'm including it in this section of the video. It's like I'm reading it for the first time again. Yeah, I'm really excited. So this is the next book that's in the series. They are children's vet books, I suppose, but they fill me with nostalgic feels. I learn lots about animals, so yeah, I'm really looking forward to continuing on with this series. The next series that I'm in the middle of is the Illuminate Files by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I reread Illuminate this year by reading it as an ebook and then listening to it as an audiobook. I had a little bit of difficulty with it, but I still enjoyed it. I always get a little bit confused when people sort of are talking about it and they're just like, "This series is amazing, everyone needs to read it." I'm just reading it and I'm like,
I don't see anything special as of yet.
This is a sequel. This is the next book that I'm on, so I look forward to seeing what's going to happen, because again we've got images and stuff, so I'm hoping that I enjoy the sequel a lot more. In the Infernal Devices trilogy, I am on book number 2, which is Clockwork Prince. This is by Cassandra Clare. As I explained in the first part of this series, I am reading these books in order of publication date. So this is the next book that I'm on, then I'll be going to the Mortal Instruments, then I'll be going to Clockwork Princess, then I'll be going back there. So this is the current book that I'm on. I really enjoyed the first book. I love Cassandra Clare's writing style, and I'm looking forward to reading this when I go around to it. Next series I'm in the middle of is the Maze Runner series by James Dashner. I am on book number 3. I read the sequel either earlier this year or last year. I've watched all the movies, so I know what happens anyway. However, the second book was far different than the movie, so I'm intrigued to see how this book is going to take, but it's interesting because I like seeing the similarities and differences. So I'm looking forward to continuing on with this at some point. So the next book that's in the Me Before You series by Jojo Moyes is Still Me. I've read the first and the second. I loved them both. Looking forward to reading this one. I can't remember buying this, if I'm honest. I didn't realise at all. Oh my god, I did not know this. Did not know this. Guys, I opened the page. Exclusive signed edition with a freaking signature. What the fuck? Oh my god. Definitely didn't know that I got this. I can't remember when I got it. Oh my god. Oh wow. Okay, so yeah, so this is the latest book, so I look forward to reading it and then completing this. The next book. Next of all, in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series, I am currently on A Court of Wings and Ruin, which is the 3rd book. So I read the second book and I really enjoyed it. So this one is a beast. It's huge. So I'm looking forward to continuing on with this one. So the next book that's in the Missing series that I'm on is Safe House, which is book number 3. So there's several books in this series, but I have got them all. So yeah, this is the next book that I am to read from this series. So the next book that's in the Warm Bodies series that I'm on is The Burning World by Isaac Marion. This is book number 2. I reread the first book not that long ago. Plus there's also the movie. I'm looking forward to reading this book. I've been holding off of it for a while. It's got images throughout. It's really cool. This is actually the American arc, I believe. I won this from Goodreads giveaway, I think. I'm very excited to continue on with this series, and hopefully I do enjoy the sequel as much as I did with the first book. The next series that I'm in the middle of is the Noah Can't Even series by Simon James Green. This is the sequel, Noah Could Never. I read the first book. I loved it. It was hilarious. This is the sequel, Noah Could Never. However, now as I'm looking at this book, I'm sort of thinking, do I reread the first book, remember everything, and then go into this? So I'm probably going to end up doing that, but this is the next book that I'm on. The Deep Blue series by Jennifer Donnelly. I am on Rogue Wave, so I think I read Deep Blue like last year or something, but it's still fresh in my mind, so that's really, really good, all things considered. I'm very excited. I like the fact that the font is purple in this book, whereas the first book it was blue. I'm really looking forward to continuing on with this series. Love it. Mafiosa by Catherine Doyle is the third and final book that is in the Blood for Blood trilogy by Catherine Doyle. Loved the first and second books. This is like a modern Romeo and Juliet, but with like mafias involved. It's so good. I just need to read this and then I've got it all completed. The Anna and the French Kiss trilogy, although they're not a series, the characters do jump between their books. So the only one that I've got left to read is Isla and the Happily Ever After by Stephanie Perkins, so it's the third one. Once I read this, that's all completed. The Replica series, I'm not entirely sure if that is what the series is called, but the first book is Replica. It's by Lauren Oliver. This is a sequel, which is Ringer. Yet again, the book is flipped. I did review the first book actually. So we have Lyra's side, we have Gemma's side. So it's another flip book. So yeah, I'm really excited about this one. Looking forward to reading it. This is actually an arc. I think I traded off like one of my arcs for this arc, if I do remember. But yeah, so I'm happy that I've got this though, so that I can read it. Hopefully enjoy it as much as I did with the first book. So I'm looking forward to continuing on with this. Anna Dressed in Blood by Kendare Blake. The sequel is Girl of Nightmares. So I read the first book either last year or the year before, I can't remember now. I really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to the sequel of this and giving this a read, and hopefully I do enjoy this one. The Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. I'm currently on the third book, which is Heir of Fire. It's beastly, it is huge. So as we all know, the final book has been released and I'm well behind because the books are just getting bigger and bigger, and big books scare me. So I'm going to be honest with you there. However, I've got a bookmark in the book, so it means I'm serious. I did start reading it at one point and then I put it down. So I need to really, really focus on just reading this book on its own, and hopefully I do enjoy it. Ink and Bone by Rachel Kane. This has got a funny name to this series, I believe. Something to do... oh, The Great Library. There you go. Book one of The Great Library. Now, originally I read this, I couldn't get into it, so I DNF'd it. However, I love the concept of it. I don't think I was in the right frame of mind at the time, so I did unhaul the book, but then I got it again. So I'm giving it a second chance because I really like Rachel Kane. Hopefully I enjoy this the second time around so that I can read this series. The Vampire Academy series by Rochelle Mead. I am currently on book number 4 in this series. This is a reread for me, I believe, because I originally read this and then I got to like the 5th book, I think, which I hadn't yet read. So this is the current book that I'm on. I love this series so much and I need to continue on with this, so hopefully I can get around to it pretty soon to finish this series. The Nil series, I don't know what it's called, but this is by Lynn Matson. I read the first book, Nil. I loved it so much. It's based on an island and I love books that are based on islands. So this is a sequel, Nil Unlocked. I have yet to read this one, so if I read this, then this is just done. I don't know if there are any more books in this series actually, I haven't even looked, so I've got to get around to reading this book. The Vampire Diaries series by L.J. Smith. The current book I'm on is book number 5, which is The Return. So, continuing on with this, I'm looking forward to it because the Vampire Diaries books have nothing to really do with the TV show. They're really different, they're unique. Elena is blonde in the books, whereas Elena in the TV show, brown hair. So it's all different. Looking forward to continuing on with this series. The Beautiful Creatures series by Cami Garcia and Margaret Stoll. I am currently on book number 2, which is Beautiful Darkness. I really loved the first book. Originally it took me ages to get through it, but when I did, I loved it. So looking forward to reading the sequel and seeing what I think with this book. The next series that I'm in the middle of is the Legend trilogy. I need to reread Legend in order to continue on with Prodigy and then Champion, and then to read the spin-off series. So Legend is actually on my TBR for November, so hopefully I can get around to reading it, but I'm looking forward to reading it all over again. The Internet Girls series. I read the first book a few years ago, if I'm honest. I'm currently on the second book, which is TTFN, and this is written like instant messenger, so it just gives me nostalgic feels to MSN, like to those days. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this when I get around to it. The Mediator series by Meg Cabot. So I'm currently rereading this series because a new book got released a few years ago, so I had to start reading these again. So I'm currently on the second bind up, which is books 3 and 4, which is Mean Spirits and Young Blood. Loved these books the first time around, so I'm looking forward to rereading these again. These are sort of books that get me out of reading slumps just because I loved them when I first read them. The Princess Diaries. I'm currently rereading these books because the only book in this series I haven't read is the 10th book, so it's silly, but I love these books so much anyway, and these books will get me out reading slump. Any Meg Cabot book will just get me out of a reading slump. I am on the second book, which is Take Two. These are so good. I love these books so much. So I'm looking forward to eventually getting around to this one. The Ruby Red trilogy, which is by Kirsten Gear. I'm currently on Sapphire Blue, which is the second book that's in this trilogy, and I loved the first book so much. These are like time traveling novels. So cool. I love the covers to these, they're gorgeous. Very excited to get around to reading this. Don't need to reread the first bit because I remember everything that happened, plus I've got the movie to it, the German movie, which is dubbed. Ruben Rott, love it, so awesome. I'm looking forward to reading this when I get around to it. The Divergent trilogy. I am on Allegiant. They're by Veronica Roth. I got spoiled on something that happened in this book. If you guys have read it, you'll know what I'm talking about. I was so annoyed when I got spoiled on it. I actually remember at the time I got spoiled. It was on Goodreads and nobody hid it, because normally on Goodreads you can hide it, like where it says like contains spoilers. Nobody had done that, and it was just in my feed, just said it, and I was like, thanks. It put me off reading it, to be honest, but you know, whatever, I'm over it. I'm ready to read it now. I've also got 4 by Veronica Roth, which is the Divergent collection. I'm not sure when this can be read. I assume you can read this like anytime. This contains loads of novellas, so I suppose I can read this whenever. So I've got those 2 to read from that series. The 50 Shades series. I'm currently on 50 Shades Darker. They are by E.R. James. I don't care what you guys say, I love these books. Well, I loved the first book. I think I gave it 4 stars actually. Like, if you ignore all of the sex stuff and just read it as a story, it's quite enjoyable. I mean, yeah, okay, like the sex stuff is like, it's quite nice because, you know, especially because if you're a female, you'll love it, but obviously guys, you know, but yeah, whatever. So I've seen the movie to this actually, because I was curious what was going to happen next, because I loved how the first bit ended. I was like, yes, go Anna. But when I watched the movie, I was like, no. Yes, I'm looking forward to reading the actual book. Then I have the Making Out series by Catherine Applegate. This is a very old teen series. You can tell because this book says it's $2.99. Now, these days, this book would be $7.99. So, just goes to show. There are about 28 in total. They are a series that literally is just about falling in love. They are about teenagers that grow up on an island. It's all about secrets. It's kind of like, the easiest way I can describe this series is like Gossip Girl but on an island, very small island. So much happens. Realistically, I could start this series again from the beginning. I'm actually thinking I might. I'm really tempted now. I'm showing number 8 so that I can read this and then read the latest book that I'm on, which is number 9. But now I'm sort of thinking, do I read this from the beginning? See, I don't really know now. They're downstairs, so I could just so easily pick up, but they're really short books. Short in this size and short in length that way, so they won't take me long to fly through anyway, but that's just one thing I can decide. But all I will say is that I'm currently on number 9 at the moment, but I'm thinking of just rereading the book before it just to freshen myself, like, but yeah, I might start again, who knows. The Hereafter series by Tara Hudson. So this is the sequel called Arise. I'm thinking I need to reread the first book that's in this, so I have to get this as an ebook. I think I've got it actually as an ebook, so that I can reread this and then continue on with Arise. So my battery died on my camera, soz, so I'm currently filming on my phone, so sorry the quality's dipped and everything, but not long from finishing, so there we go. So we got to the Secret Circle series by L.J. Smith. I am currently on book number 2, which is Bind Up of the Captive Part 2 and The Power. Now there was a TV show done on this series. They axed it, which I was so pissed when they axed it. So whatever happens, but it's, yeah, I love the first book, not gonna lie. The first bind up is awesome. So these are really short books because they're bind ups, so that's all I can say. But I'm currently on this second bind up. I'm looking forward to reading this when I get around to reading it. So I mentioned the first book in my first video of this part series, and I said that I was going to read it just because I really want to. However, I can so easily continue on with this book, which is Where She Went by Gail Forman, which is a sequel, and I can easily sort of continue on with this purely because I kind of know what happened in the first book, but I want to kind of reread the first book just so that I can see how I feel about the first book. So hopefully I enjoy this one. The final physical book that I have to share with you guys is a sequel to the book called Voices, and it's by Sue Mayfield. So this is the sequel, which is called Poisoned. I never knew there was a sequel, so I ordered it. It's very short, so it won't take me long to read. This will be really ideal for a readathon, and yeah, I look forward to reading it because I loved the first book, Voices. So those are the physical books that I'm in the middle of, that I'm continuing on with, not necessarily have to reread. I'm now going to mention some ebooks that I will have to either read again or to reread again to continue on with the series. So the first of which I have is the second book to No Virgin, which is called No Shame. This is by Anne Cassidy. So I read the first book as it was a library book, and it was really touching. Touches on rape. So I'm looking forward to seeing where the sequel is going to take me. Next of all is Some Quiet Place by Kelsey Sutton. I read this, I really didn't believe that I read it, but I did. So the trouble is I can kind of remember some parts and kind of not, but I've got the sequel downstairs, so I would just like to reread the first book again and then read the sequel like straight after, so that I can get my thoughts and feelings on it again. Next of all, I have the second book that's in the Fairy Tale series by Rosamund Hodge. The first book was Cruel Beauty. That was a twist on Beauty and the Beast. It was quite a dark twist and it was quite weird when I first read that one, but I'm next on Crimson Bound, so I have that one to read as an ebook, so that'll be interesting. Hopefully I enjoy the sequel. Next of all, I have the Sinners series. I think this is by Abby Kanarmisi Halasiki, something like that. I'm sorry, the picture will be over here to show you the authors anyway. But I read the first book, Branded, a couple of years ago, and I think I gave it like 4 stars. I can't remember now, but it was an interesting take. So I am going to be continuing on with the series. The next book in the series is called Hunted, so I'm going to be continuing on with that book at some point. Next of all, we have the Everyday series by David Levithan. I have read the first book, I've read the sequel. Now there's a new book release which is called Someday, and that's come out this year. I watched the movie. I was very lucky to watch the movie before release, and it was actually an alright movie. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting the book someday because I haven't got it yet, so I'll get it as an ebook and then I'll give it a read. The next series is the Georgetown Academy series, and the first book is, I think, just called Georgetown Academy. And I started reading this, didn't really get into it, but I think I was just reading it just because, and I was just like, oh, I can't be bothered with this series. So I've still got it as an ebook. I DNF'd it, but I do want to give it another chance, so that's why I'm putting it on this list, so that I can give it another chance. And if I still can't get into it the second time, then it's definitely a series that I won't be continuing on with reading. The next series is the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series by Ransom Riggs. I am on the third book, however I would like to reread the second book, Hollow City. I've got it as an ebook. I did get rid of my hardback copies, so I'm currently going to be rereading Hollow City as an ebook, and then I can continue on with the third book. And then I've recently got Map of Days as well, so I can then read that. So I'm looking forward to rereading Hollow City again. The next series is the As Red of Blood series by somebody, and I need to reread the first book again. They're really, really short books, but I do have the second and the third book downstairs in my garage, so I'm going to reread this book as an ebook so that I can continue on with these couple of books. Then have the Half Bad series by Sally Green. I think I unhauled my first physical copy of Half Bad because I can't find it anywhere, so luckily I've got it as an ebook, so I'm going to be rereading that from the ebook, and then I can read the other books that are in the series that I've got in my garage. I'm in the middle of the Saga series. I'm currently on volume number 5. I don't own any of the physical copies, but I think you can get them as Kindle books, so I could read it as a book that's on my Kindle, so that could be something that I could purchase in the near future. Then I am in the Superlatives series by Jennifer Eccles. I loved the first 2 books. I'm currently on the third book, which is Most Likely to Succeed. I have that as an ebook, so I look forward to continuing on with that one. Next of all is the Silence of Six. I've only recently heard that there was a sequel, so I would like to reread the first book, Silence of Six, and then I can go ahead and read the other books that are in the series. Next of all, we have Tall, Tatted and Tempting, and there are a few books in that series, I believe, but I haven't read any of them since, but I do own them, and I really, really enjoyed the first book, so I'm thinking of rereading Tall, Tatted and Tempting as a guilty pleasure, and then like continuing on with the series. I then have After the End series by Amy Plum, so this is the first book, and I originally listened to this as an audiobook. I do have the sequel as an audiobook as well from Audible, but I haven't got around to reading it yet because I need to reread the first book. I'm not entirely sure if I want to get this as a physical book yet. I might just read this as an ebook just to get into it because I like the premise of it. So I need to reread this book and then read the sequel. Then I have the Magisterium series by Cassandra Clare and Holly Black. I read the Iron Trial a few years ago, so I need to carry on with rereading the first book and then reading the other books in the series. I've then got an ebook called Bully by, I think it's Penelope Douglas. I need to reread that book because there are other books in the series, or at least a sequel, that I know of, so I can continue on with that. I then have Extraction by Stephanie Diaz. I've got the sequel to that, so I need to reread the first book, which I loved the first time around, so hopefully I do enjoy the sequel too. The series is called Tell Us, but I need to reread the first book again, which is Take Back the Skies by Lucy Saxon, because there are 2 other books that are in this series, so I need to reread that book to continue on with this series. I've then got the Ladybirds series. I'm currently on book number 2, which is Love Bomb, so I need to read that one. Next of all, I have the Flynn series by Sophie Mackenzie. I'm going to start from the very, very beginning and just read the first book, Falling Fast, so that I can read all the other books again, because I've kind of forgotten them, if I'm totally honest. I then have the Pledge series by Kimberly Derting. I'm technically on the sequel, but I need to reread the first book again so that I can then read the sequel. I then got the Jess Jordan series, and this starts with Girl 15, Charming but Insane. I have got to like the 3rd or the 4th book in the series. I've lost place of where I am, so I've decided to start from the very beginning again with that one. I've then got the High Society series by is it Ali? And I need to reread the first book again, but I did kind of enjoy the first book the first time around. I've then got The Forest of Hands and Teeth by Carrie Ryan. I've got the sequel, but I need to reread the first book again in order to read the sequel. I've then got the Shade series by Jerry Smith Reddy. I need to reread Shade again because I don't remember anything that happened in it in order to continue on with that series. I've then got The Hunt by Andrew Fukuda, and I read the first book ages ago. I don't remember anything. I've got the sequel downstairs, so I need to reread the first book again. Then got the Body Finder series by Kimberly Derting. I am on the second book, but I need to reread the first book again in order to continue on with that series. I then got the Hidden series by Marianne Curley. This is an Angel series. I don't remember anything that happened in the first book, so I'm going to need to reread that one again. I've got the Breathe series by Sarah Crossan. I've got the sequel Resist, I think it's called. I don't remember anything that happened in like the second half of the book, so I need to reread that book again. And then finally I've got A Shimmer of Angels by Lisa M. Basso, I think it is. I've only read the first book, but I've since discovered it's got other books in the series, so I need to reread the first book in order to continue on with that. So there you have it, guys. Those are the ebooks. So this is part number 2, and yes, so in total, guys, 123, I'll put the number on the screen, series that I am in the middle of reading, either that I have to start reading again from the beginning, that I've started, that I haven't finished, of series, trilogies, duologies, all that sort of stuff. Here's my paper here, just so many, but I'm hoping that in 2019 I can sort this mess out, because it's one hot mess. I have a really terrible habit of starting series and not finishing them, getting the series and not continuing on with them. So all I can say and do is apologise. So that's it from this video. So I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Give me a thumbs up if you have. If there's any series and trilogies and duologies that I've mentioned that you think I should definitely read, then let me know down below in the comments. All of my social media links will be linked down below in the description. If you're new to my channel, then please feel free to subscribe. I upload videos all the time. They are very sporadic, there's no specific schedule, but I hope you guys have enjoyed this video all the same. Thank you very much for watching. Keep smiling, keep reading, and be happy. My name is Katie, and I'll see all of you wonderful, awesome people in my next video. Bye!